Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Back, we'll see here.
Schafer landing
he's
big
already
shots
kind of
on
turning
it.
out
Looks like it's just as I predicted.
Needs to work his legs out of the guard here. He's just kind of sitting
done.
in it.
Nice shot. That was a
These
hard
are heavy
shot.
shots. They're all
It's
landing
done.
too.
Stop
Yeah.
this. Come on, Merrick. Stop this fight. There we go.
Schafer gets the finish. The TKO.
Another episode of Trash Talk. With me, as always, is TJ O'Connor. Tonight we have Ryan Schafer, who's getting ready for a fight December 21st at Canterbury Park. Trash Talk is brought to you again by Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Inkstrings Tattoo out in New Brighton, Minnesota. The Fighters, TJ's mom, and Origin Wellness CBD. I didn't mess up because I didn't forget. How are you doing tonight, Ryan?
I'm doing all right, man.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. How you feeling coming in this fight, especially with so much momentum behind you already? You know, coming off of a really nice win at your last win was at LFA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's LFA against Dick Legas. Tough fight.
Yeah, he's a tough SOB, and that was a good fight. And man, you're just riding a wave of momentum right now coming in this fight. I mean, how are you feeling finishing up your camp just a few days over a week out?
I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. Honestly, I think that it's harder for me to do back-to-back fights than it is to do one fight camp and then take a break, to be honest. I mean, it's just taxing on the body and trying to play catch up. And it's like, it's one thing to take a little time off work or put a little extra effort into training, you know, for one fight, and then versus two, you know, and then you start getting behind on stuff and you got to play catch up everywhere. And it just becomes pretty stressful. I was sick for a week a while back and missed a bunch of training, but I mean, I still got like 7 hours in, but that's like half of what I normally do during fight camp. So it made me feel pretty lazy, like I didn't accomplish a lot. But you know, I'm finishing out strong anyways, and I mean, it should be all right.
Yeah, definitely. And doing what you can, making the best of it, like you said. Damian mentioned your last performance at the end of September. I thought it was a great performance. You know, number 3 in the rankings here at 155. You're fighting a guy in Dalton who fans of the rankings and fans of the recent might not know about, but guys that have been in the local scene, you know, he's fought all the tough guys for a long time. When did you get this call? You mentioned short notice isn't your thing. Did that play a factor in taking this fight right back, or what was the initial reaction when taking this fight right away?
It wasn't short notice. I had a full fight camp. It's just back-to-back is tough for me because of all that. But, I mean, Jeremy hit me up, and he told me, he said, you know, the 155 title is going to be vacant soon. I already fought Noah Landris. I lost that one, another 3-round fight. So he said it's going to be vacant soon, and he thinks, you know, whoever wins out of me and Dalton will probably get the next title shot. So he kind of had to take it at that point. You know, Dalton's definitely I mean, I looked him up. I looked into all the guys that he's fought, and he's got a lot of fights. You know, he's got more fights than anybody else I fought. He's got a ton of experience. Technically, he looks pretty sound all the way around from the videos that I've seen, especially his more recent ones. I mean, I count on it being a tough fight, you know. So, but all my fights are tough. That's how it is.
Yeah. Well, Dalton comes from a tough team out, Mankato Martial Arts. I mean, he was with them when they had everybody. I mean, oh my God, Clay Udley, Justin Ream, Dan Moret,
Castaneda,
John Castaneda, dude.
Yeah.
I'm
so many guys.
Yeah, so many good and high level guys there, you know, and he's been working with them all that time and fighting almost every week, you know, back in the day. And then now he's had, I believe, 3 years off, and he's making his way back into the game. How do you feel that that's going to play a factor into the fight? And honestly, like when a guy steps away for a while, it can mean one or two things. Some people believe that ring rust plays a factor. I'm not sure if that exists, you know, and then sometimes they take time off and they start to hone their skills. What do you expect from him? Which one do you think he plays more into?
I mean, you know, I feel like with the amount of experience he has, that ring rust is kind of a small factor for somebody with that kind of experience in a ring, especially all his fights are MMA. You know, he's got 16 of them, 10 wins. So I don't think I'm sure the pre-fight jitters will be a little bit more than what he was used to before, but I don't think it's going to play a huge factor. And I don't know how much he's been training since he's been taking time off either. So, if he's been steady with it, then maybe he's gotten substantially better and he's, going to do 1 or 2 and go pro. Who knows? Maybe he didn't fight at all or train at all really for most of the last couple of years. I have no idea. So I do what I always do. I watched a couple fights at the beginning of camp to see kind of what his style is. And then I concentrated on what I do. You know what I mean? I'm still an amateur. It's more concentrating on me and honing in on my skill set versus trying to, come up with the game plan. And I'm still playing checkers here. I'm not ready for chess yet. So I just do my thing.
Dude, oh man, I love it. I love how real it is. I love how, I feel like talking to you, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like you're your toughest critic, because I remember, telling you, every time we tell you how good you are, you're going to counter that with being like, nah, I'm not saying I'm not good, but, come on. But, I love it. I like your fighting style. I'm obviously a fan of what you bring to it, because you mentioned the time Dalton's been off. In those 3 years, you've been working. You've been working very hard in those time frame, putting in the time in the gym, obviously, putting the time in the cage against tough guys. What do you think? Obviously, this is a tough fight for him coming back into. He's obviously has high aspirations, and you're looking to put a stop to that.
Yeah, with as many fights as he has, he doesn't really have an option at any soup cans coming in. He's kind of got to take who's at the top of the food chain right now because he's got 16 fights. He can't. No 2-1 guy is going to want to fight somebody with that many fights. I looked at it. I saw his record. I was like, who is this guy? Where'd he come from? Like, how'd this even happen? How's he not pro, But, it is what it is, and I realize I'm pretty high in the standings, and there's no easy fights for me, and there hasn't been. Jeremy's never set me up an easy fight. I think I had one that was semi-easy, and it was at the beginning of my career in Minnesota, and the guy still had 9 fights. They just weren't mostly wins, So – again, I am my toughest critic, but I grew up with like little man complex. Like everybody I always thought was bigger than me. I always thought they were better than me. I got beat up a lot growing up. I told you guys all that before in other interviews. It's like, so I'm the guy. I'm never overly confident going into a fight. I'm always the guy that I go in scared, knowing anything could happen, and it just something changes when they lock the cage and I have to bite down and push forward. It's just. I become a different person, and that's the reason I fight. Is that I still live in a tough neighborhood. I'm still on the north side of Minneapolis. It's like I want to know everything. When I go out of the house, I'm gonna be able to protect myself no matter what.
Man.
And I've lost a couple of fights in the cage, but I guarantee ain't nobody on the streets whooping me because they'll get tired before they. I like if they're better than me.
Yeah, dude, I like what you said when you said no easy fights. He's definitely a tough opponent, very skilled, very well-rounded, and has a lot of depth in his record. But as you mentioned, him coming back, like there's not too many 2-1 guys, 2-0 guys, or guys without that many fights that are willing to fight him. But with that being said, I don't think that this is an easy fight for him, to say the least. You're a tough dude. You ranked what you ranked for a reason. Dude. This is not going to be an easy fight for him. And I'm not saying that. I'm interested to see how his time off plays a factor into the fight, because on paper this has the making of being like fight of the night. This is a great matchup.
It definitely could. I know he's got some decent wrestling skills. He's got like 5 submissions, so his jits is pretty decent too, and he's pretty crafty with his hands. No knockouts yet, so it's but he's crafty and he looks crisp. So I expected, like I said, he's definitely a worthy opponent. I'm not taking anything away from him, and I'm definitely not underestimating him regardless of time off or anything like that. I never go into a fight like that.
Okay, but before we go any further, sorry, TJ.
No.
But is this fight at 45 or 55? Because I know that this is his first fight back, and you've been fighting at 45. You can fight at 55 too, because you're
55.
certified B. Okay, just wondering.
I've never fought at 45. I can't make that.
Oh, really? Oh,
I think Dalton's had 45 fights.
Okay.
He's had 45 fights.
Okay,
is what I heard. think I heard that on one of his commentaries on one of his fights, is saying that he actually made it to 45, and they were like, "That's crazy because he's 6'2", same as me."
Yeah.
And they were like, "How does he make 45? That's insane." And I'm like, "I don't think I could. I mean, even at my skinniest, I think I was 50. You know, so
yeah,
Okay,
and you mentioned the physical similarities. That was one of the things I wanted to touch on. And I love how Damian mentioned that this could easily be fight of the night, because I feel like this is the biggest fight as far as the one that, no title on the line, nothing like that. I think this is probably one of the most important fights on the card without the glamour. And I think it easily could be fight of the night because I feel like your styles are similar. Like you mentioned, at 6'2", you're rarely going to find a guy that's the same height as you at this weight class. So I'm interested to see how both you guys move around. And I think it's going to be a very good fight. If, without giving away any type of game plan, if you had to narrow it down, what would be the one thing that you have to bring to the cage, to make sure your hand gets raised on the 21st?
the same thing as always, man. Grittiness and unwillingness to quit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no quit in me. I mean, I've never been able to understand how anybody can ever just give up in a fight with hundreds of people watching. You know what I mean? There's something in me that doesn't let me do that. There's been times where I've thought about it, like, man, I just want this to be over with. And funny thing is those times I've actually won those fights. You know what I mean? No. There was one time I was like, man, I need this to be done, and it was against Yamasa Dozai. I lost that one, but and now he's my best friend. You know what I mean? So it's like,
well, there's something that clicks in the fight. It's like, oh man, I don't want to be here. I want this to be over. So you decide to finish it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like either they're gonna knock me out, which hasn't happened yet, or I have to make them stop hitting me. You know, it's like, if those are my options, I'm gonna make them stop hitting me one way or another. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I gotta figure out a way.
Hell yeah! Now TJ touched on what you bring to the table. Now, what do you expect from him?
Craftiness, man. Like I said, I've watched his fights, and he's very well rounded, and I think if I clip him hard, he's gonna take me down. He's got a really strong single leg from what I could see. In the past, my takedown defense hasn't been the best. It's definitely getting better every fight for sure. I work on it a ton. And my jits is definitely getting better. I just got a promotion not too long ago. So
Awesome.
I'm always comfortable on the ground. Honestly, I feel like it's easier to not take damage on the ground than on your feet. So it's when you're down there, it's making sure that the refs feel like you're winning the fight. That's the tough part. If you're on the bottom, the refs usually don't think you're winning the fight regardless of what you're doing down there. So it's just being crafty myself. So, I mean, I don't like going in with a game plan at all.
Hell yeah. I
Nice.
definitely understand that. And I one of the things that I love about the MMA game evolving so much is that the judges are starting to become former fighters themselves. So I think the judging is getting a little bit better, and it's only going to continue to get better. So when guys are on the bottom and they have somebody who's praying on top, but you're going for submission attempts, you're doing stuff where you're not taking any damage, I think all of those things are going to start being taken into consideration with the judges evolving, and fighters deciding when they're done fighting, going into judging and working for the commission. So I can only expect it to get better. And the fact that we do have, I think it's 3 former fighters and I think like 5 or 6 people that currently train at MMA gyms that are all working for the commission now. I just think that that's all amazing,
I mean, who better to judge a fight, than somebody that's been in there and done it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, and sorry, TJ, I know you were starting to say something a minute ago, and I kind of just went off on what I believe in judging and stuff like that. Sorry.
Yeah, I can't even remember what I was going to say, but just exactly you said, who better to call the fight than someone with that experience and just knowing the small intricacies of the game. There's so much that goes on, in the little spaces when guys are close, like you said, who's really winning the fight, and the fact that the people that are making decisions and the eyes that are seeing them are more involved. I mean, that's great. And then so coming back, just one last time, we're going back to the fight here. I'm excited for this one. I've said that 3 times now, probably. I know the fans are excited. What would be your tell to the fans? What's your speech? Why do they need to come watch this fight on December 21st?
I mean, for the same reason they should watch any of my fights. I mean, I've never put on a disappointing, not fun to watch fight. You know what I mean? Win, lose, draw well, there's been no draws, but win or lose, I've always put on a good show. I've always been told, at the end of every fight almost that I had one of the best fights of the night. I get told that repeatedly. So why wouldn't you come watch me throw down anytime you get a chance to,
Hell yeah. That was a perfect answer.
Yeah.
Shit. Man, so
that was the perfect answer.
December 21st, going down at Canterbury Park. Before we do wrap this up, is there any sponsors, teammates, or people outside of the gym that you'd like to give a special shout out to?
I mean, all my teammates over here, Coach over here, Randy, Davies over there, Ruben. There's actually everybody that's in here right now is all fighting on December 21st. Funny thing, we all showed up. Yama's my, probably my best friend. Van John, he does all the training in the morning. I do a lot of morning classes, so big shout out to him. Coach Tom, of course. I got some good sponsors. Hemp Ghana, they're a CBD company, and hemp-based medicine and all that. Ariana Kebab and Euro Bistro, which is Yama's restaurant. You know what I mean? He supports.
Some great food. I've been there.
Best eggplant in the town. And Stay True Tattoo that's done all my ink. So, I mean, you guys want some good tattoos, you got to go down to Burnsville for them. Got to give a shout out to all those guys, everybody at the gym, though. I mean, these guys are amazing. I couldn't do it without my training partners. I got probably the toughest fighters in the state all train here. So, I mean.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Well, we really appreciate your time. We really appreciate you being on the show, especially so close to the fight. And while you're making that weight cut and everything like that, you've always been down to be on the show, and we really appreciate that. Oh. And to the fans that are watching, be sure to reach out to Ryan and get those tickets. December 21st, Canterbury Park. Remember to like and subscribe to Trash Talk with Damian and TJ. Don't be a hoe.
Same shameless promotion. New Spartan shorts.
Oh, hell yeah.
Those are dope.
Yeah, gotta get the merch in there. Gotta get the merch in there.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Those are nice.
Hey, huge fan of what you guys do, though, man. I appreciate you guys always, looking out for the fighters. Have a good one. I'll see you at the fights.
See you at the fight, sir.
Are you listening? Damn.